So back in the summer of 2022, you did a 2-part sermon series on the biblical view of abortion. So take us back to 2022 and why you decided to step away, I think, from 1 John at that point and to do a series of messages on this issue.
Well, it's always my heart not only to help us understand the Scripture verse by verse, but for us to think about the issues in the culture from a biblical perspective. And I don't break away often to do that, but from time to time, the issues themselves warrant it, or just the sheer volume in which they're reaching fever pitch in the culture. In this case, it was both, because it was during that time period that there was a lot of discussion about the issue of abortion. Supreme Court was, of course, overturning the Roe v. Wade decision. And so all of that brought to bear, why should this matter? And I wanted to rethink about it biblically, and I wanted our congregation to rethink about it biblically. We're obviously all opposed to abortion, and we can point to certain scriptures, but I wanted to dig down a little more and say, let's look at this from a larger perspective.
Yeah, and after you had finished that short series, the response was really, it was overwhelming. People were extremely encouraged on what the Scripture had said about abortion and how you had articulated those key truths over those 2 weekends. Now, jumping to the book, in the preface of your book, you write these words, Tom: "For the Christian, the only question about abortion that matters is, what does the Bible say?" So you started your sermon series there, but really the book launches from that particular point. So tell me why that's the necessary starting point for Christians.
It's interesting. The first time I ever heard that question was from the man who was a professor of mine in seminary and who would eventually become my father-in-law. It was sort of a rallying cry in his classes. Charles Smith was his name, had taught theology for 50 years by the time his ministry ended. But at that point in time, I was sitting in his Corinthian class, study of 1st and 2nd Corinthians in undergrad studies. And I remember him time after time asking that question. He would say, here's how many people present this issue, or here's what many people say. But the question has to be, what does the Bible say? And that really stuck in my heart and soul, because he's absolutely right. That is always the question. What does the Bible say? It's not, what do I think? What does the culture say? Where are we right now, sort of as a majority of the culture? But what does the Bible say? If you're a believer, if you're a follower of Christ, my sheep hear my voice, he said. And meaning they hear his voice in Scripture. They hear and want to obey and follow. And so if you're a follower of Christ, that expression resonates with you. It matters more than anything else. What does the Bible say? Because in the end, what we're really asking when we ask that question is, what does God, our Creator and Redeemer, say about this issue?